Popcorn for breakfast.
Good morning, William.
Good morning, Stephen.
So, what did we see today, William?
We saw the magnificent 7, 8, 9, 10. Total, there were 7 cowboyish characters, 6 recruits and 1 main guy.
7, and all of them in Western apparel.
Yes.
Yeah, cowboyish. I like how you said that because they didn't really seem like people of that time.
Well, to start it off, what was this movie about?
This movie is about 7 strangers who band together to help more strangers save their town from an evil mustache-twirling villain who wants the gold.
That man murdered my husband.
I want something. I take it.
He will take everything we have.
Is that about it? Yeah, that's about it, really.
Pretty much.
It's a super simple plot.
Yeah, there's not much to think about. Not much plot to get in the way of this movie.
Because we had Denzel Washington, who we like, Chris Pratt, who we like. We had Ethan Hawke, who people still sort of remember.
Yep.
And then we had not Jennifer Lawrence and Fat Guy.
Fat Guy with the voice.
I'm the fat guy.
Well,
I love the Lord.
When he shows up, and it's funny because he just does. It's a scene where it's like I think, oh, they're traveling, and they just show up at this cabin, and we have what turns out to be our second set of brothers who think they're really badass, but they're not, and they just robbed. They say they robbed a famous trapper,
Jack Horn,
and then all of a sudden there's Jack Horn. And he's like, it just tomahawk, and he just is berserker fury.
And he comes out awesome. He comes out, he's like this big burly guy, but he's like, "Rah!" He kills one guy with an axe, beats the other guy to death, and he's like, these guys took my property.
Because D'Onofrio's famous for getting into character and doing the voices. You know, I think some of his great little characters are like the Salton Sea bad guy, which is a great role for him. But I kept thinking like, oh, please just clear your throat and talk normal pretty soon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it wasn't bad. I like that they casted Chris Pratt for the character they casted him for. On the way from the theater, me and Heather were actually talking, and we decided if they made a Faraday movie, like just called it Faraday the Outlaw, I'll watch an hour and a half of Chris Pratt as Faraday. It was nice. I liked his card tricks. I liked how he tried to distract people. How he was just like he's a normal guy until you touch your gun, and then he's a dick.
Yep. Spoiler: it would have to be a prequel.
Yeah.
Dan, you dead? Pity.
I had just ordered a drink from that man.
But can we talk about how Western this movie was?
And yeah, I'll admit this is the first movie directed by Antoine Fuqua that I have seen. I have not seen Training Day or
I think it's the same first one for me also.
King Arthur, so I apologize. I have nothing to compare it to of any of his other work. But you're right. Every kind of Western movie film cliche is in this movie.
We had everyone who could go through a window went through a window. We had the guy walking out and then dying because he got shot. We had ride sideways on your horse as cover. We had ride into town with your hat down.
Yeah.
We had tough woman who knows how to use a gun.
I do love that line where it's like, well, if you're going to fight tomorrow, I better put some pants on.
Yeah, and then she doesn't wear pants.
No.
But and we had, you had the outlaw character, you had the token, Hispanic outlaw guy. The characters were nice, but it was so Western movie. It was
and you're forgetting the first scene is or not the first scene. We'll get to the first scene, but the first scene after the credits is Denzel's long ride into the town, the first town that we see him in, and it's that old cliche of, oh, there's a stranger riding, and everyone stop what you're doing and look.
Well, yeah, because remember
through the windows.
The one guy even pulls his daughter away. He's like, "This man's trouble."
Yeah, and that has all sorts of connotations to it.
But yeah, it was so Western. The only thing we didn't have was the guy whipping his hat, going, "Yeehaw!"
Yeah, and
You ain't never seen a soldier like me. 1, 2, 3, I'm a vigilante.
Well, let's talk about like it as a movie. Like
it was okay.
It was very cut and dry. Like, okay, the first scene, our mustache-twirling villain who just wants the gold burns down a church.
Because he's a bad guy.
Because he's bad, and he just murders. He's the kind of bad guy when he has 50 cronies around him, he can just murder people That's when he feels like he can pull his gun and kill a guy.
Yeah, he was ultimate movie cliche bad guy.
Yeah.
He was scary and intimidating until he had no one to help him, and then he literally crawled across the ground begging.
Either, since we're in the whole cinematic universe thing now, he's either the grandfather of, what's his name from Titanic? Heathcliff Huxtable,
Oh, yeah.
Cowden something.
Evil guy.
Or the great grandfather of Giovanni Ribisi in Avatar. Because seriously, he's just one-dimensional. I want the gold, and I will. And the only kind of characterization they give him is one line where he says, you know, I'm not some pussy rich kid who'll just hire a politician to bribe people off my land.
Yeah,
I'm going to go.
thing.
It's hard work for me to go and pay men to murder people and get them out of their Rose Valley.
With my Gatling gun.
Yeah, and Peter Sarsgaard, you know, don't get me wrong, I love Peter Sarsgaard. You know, K-19, The Widowmaker, he was great in that, and a lot of his other stuff is great. But this, he was just paycheck movie. He even had like the nervous tick, you know, that bad guys have. It was just and he had that thing where he murders his own henchman to prove he means business.
Yeah, and we had the whole thing that they give you very little backstory for the characters that are going to die. That's a normal thing. We had that. As far as cinematic universe things go, we had Impossible Odds, and they come through.
Yeah.
That happened. We had they set up an elaborate scheme that somehow, for the most part, works.
Yeah. Even though on film it was so confusing, I couldn't tell good guy from bad guy at the end. It's just anyone in a trench coat's getting shot.
Well, did you notice all the bad guys had dusters, all the good guys were wearing vests.
Yeah.
That's how they. All the good guys had Western vests, all the bad guys had dusters. And it was like,
You're absolutely
it's
right.
a video game.
Yeah.
We're so obvious.
So I was like, oh, should I be? Oh, that guy just got killed. Should I be? Oh no, wait, he was a bad guy.
Yeah,
You know?
Duster, and Dark Hat.
What's the plan?
I've always wanted to blow something up.
Is that a plan?
But I would say, you know, it's PG-13 violence. You can bring the kids. You can, you know, it's not too bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood, but I wouldn't say any gore.
Yeah, and there's not too many. There's, you know, people die, but there's no like other violence. Like there's not a lot of, you know, there's no rapes. There's no.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, people aren't burned. It's not like the Patriot where people are burned alive in the church, setting it on fire. It's, at least he lets the people go first. But.
Yeah, or it's not like Tombstone when Kurt Russell has I think Val Kilmer on the table, and he's like, "Shut the fucking dog up!" And he's just bleeding to death all over a pool table.
Bill
Paxton was on the table. That's right. Yeah, I love that scene.
There was no.
We should watch. Can we watch?
Can we watch Tombstone instead? I'm kind of anti-remake. I think it's a little lazy to remake movies, and I know the original Magnificent Seven was a remake of a Japanese film called Seven Samurai, which is also legendary in its own right for the way it was filmed. But I still think it's fair to call this a lazy remake because it's still a Western.
Yeah.
It's just the names have been changed, the objective has been changed. You know, in the original Magnificent Seven, it was seven outlaw guys with pasts, guys looking to seek some redemption, get together, they save a poor Mexican town from Mexican bandits.
Yeah.
That's it. This one, they upped the ante a little bit when they had these murderous motherfucking little pansy rich kids.
Asshole guys, Red Rock Detective or Black Rock Detectives.
Yeah.
I want to say Red Rock.
Well, he's got his private. Yeah, he's got his private security. Just go down the list of them. Private security, henchmen, bribed all the local law enforcement. Basically, why is anyone still in this town when the movie starts if he has all the law enforcement and security guys walking around to begin with?
We're decent people being driven from our homes. Slaughtered in cold blood.
It is very Western. They wanted us to know we are in the wild, wild West. But that was okay. There's not a lot we can say about this movie because, like you said, it's cut and dry. It's bad guy wants the town. Townspeople don't want to leave. They hire some rapscallions team, and they do their thing. It's there.
It's good versus evil. I would say a fault of this movie is they kind of assemble pretty quickly.
Yeah.
These guys are like, oh, I got nothing better to do. I'll join your team.
Yeah. Inexplicably, he knows where Goodnight is.
Yeah. He just knows where to find him.
He's in this town always. That's all he does.
And thank God he has Short Round with it.
Yeah. I like Short Round. He wasn't ninja enough.
But, you know,
in this movie.
You know, I make fun of him being the token Asian character by calling him Short Round, but Byung-Hyun Lee had more to do in this movie. He had actual lines to say. He's not he's not some kind of imported guy to be the token Asian guy. He's actual classically trained actor.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he had things to do, because he's the guy. He was the T-1000 at the beginning of Terminator Genesis,
He was.
and there was no line. It was kill Sarah Connor, and just he's there to be the T-1000, and that's it.
Oh, I get to go first this time. That's awesome. Okay. I know we disagreed on the way out of the theater, but I thought this movie popped. But only popped in entertainment value. I did not think as a movie this was any better of a movie than others I had seen. But it was entertaining. I didn't mind spending my ticket, going into the theater. We got to hang out as friends for the morning. You had your girlfriend, I had my wife. We're all just, kind of like having a nice little movie time. And it was good. It was entertaining by that value. So for that, I will say it popped. Plus, Chris Pratt, which I'm a little bit of a fanboy for Chris Pratt. I think he's one of those actors, if you put him in a good role, he's perfect. So it popped. It popped all right.
Yeah, I'll give this movie a pop, because I didn't leave the theater hating it. There were some lame parts to it. There were some things that felt like deleted. There were scenes deleted.
Yeah.
They touch on like Chris Pratt's character at first is actually a raging alcoholic. He's never seen without a drink. And they even make a point to where he kind of cons some whiskey out of some kid just to get a drink. That never really kind of circles back. It kind of annoyed me.
Then he gives up his whiskey for an injured minor that he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
Which you're right. I didn't notice that before, but that is really random and cut in there.
Yeah. And and again, it's a mustache twirling bad guy. What irked me is his little monologue at the beginning where he's equating capitalism to God. Capitalism wasn't a word much used back then. That's meant for us to.
Yeah. We get to throw that around 1836.
Yeah. But that's just saying. It just seems a little forced.
It was.
He just we get it. He wants the gold because he wants money. If you want to go and be entertained, if it's your first date, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. If you like Denzel, I like Denzel. I like Chris Pratt. It's great. I like Vincent D'Onofrio,
and
it's perfectly fine.
If you like spaghetti westerns, like if you're ever a fan of those made-for-TV western movies that just hit one after another with the same character and the same plot over again, go see it. It's okay as a western. I want to say it western popped. That doesn't make any sense. That just sounds stupid.